It's December 21st, 2021. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present. We'll first begin with a Pledge of Allegiance offered by Vice Chair White.
Please rise if you are able and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We would now ask that you all join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. Do we want to make it a change the?
Yeah. Chair, if I might make a motion at this point, I would move that we remove item B from our agenda, 5B, the Marshall White Community Center resolution. This is for an upcoming joint resolution that should be worked out shortly and would take its place, which I think everybody would agree is a better approach than just a council member resolution.
Great. So is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer to remove item 5B, the Marshall White Center proposed resolution, and a second by Vice Chair White. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you. And like you said, move that. We'll remove that and then hopefully bring back a joint resolution here in the next coming week. So that's great.
I think it was on, Chair, just to clarify, it was on the 11th is what
Yeah.
we discussed? Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. First up, we have a public hearing, the fiscal year 2021 salary schedule amendments, council salaries. And we have Ms. Janine Eller-Smith here tonight.
Thank you, Chair Blair, council members. I don't have a presentation. I just wanted to review for you the action before you. You may recall in June of this year when we were having budget discussions and before you adopted the budget, we discussed the Evergreen study, which was the study that determined compensation for the employees. That study did not include the elected officials. However, the city's HR department did do a benchmarking study against cities in the state that have the same form of government that we do. And as a result of that benchmarking study, and after you reviewed it, you determined that you would like to go to that benchmark. You were substantially below the benchmark at that time, at about 18.5. So you decided to take the 4% increase that all employees got as of July 1, and then you would move to the benchmark in the pay period that includes January 1 of 2022. So that's the proposal before you, the ordinance. So that moves your current salary from for council members, the base salary, $19,566 to the benchmark of $22,500. That is an almost 15% increase. And one of the discussions that you'd had or comments that were made, because it's so always uncomfortable to increase your own salaries, is that there is a lot of time that goes into the work that you do as council members, and that there might be some people in the community that could maybe not be able to donate that amount of time to the work. But if they know they're getting a reasonable salary, that it could be a good part-time job, and basically it could open it up to other people who might otherwise not be able to serve in your capacity. So that's the base salary. The chair and the vice chair get an additional 6% and 12% respectively, which puts them at $23,850 and at $25,200. So that's the proposal before you to make that increase to your own salary. So it's adopting new salary schedules There is not a budget amendment that goes with it. That will come with an upcoming budget amendment with other items that are on that. Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
I don't have any questions. I do have a comment, Chair.
Please.
And I wanted to just, put out there, we've had a lot of discussions how it is uncomfortable to make this change for ourselves. But to be perfectly frank, I didn't even know that we got paid when I first ran for office until after I was already pretty committed to running. So I don't think that, when I'm suggesting that we approve this, that I'm saying that people only run because of the salary, because I don't really think that's the case. But I do want to ensure that people are able to put in the time. I certainly do think my time is valuable as a council member and try to work as hard as I can in that capacity. So I think it's important that we benchmark it with other places so that then people do have that capacity to be able to take on the position. So I know some people feel a little bit uncomfortable about it, but that's one way that I rationalize it, is certainly that we put in a lot of time and effort in this position, and that it's valuable, and that I want other people to be able to do it as well.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, so I would accept a motion to open the public hearing, or to,
Yeah,
we don't have to open it.
you get to do that, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to open it, but yeah,
We can't see it here.
we will now open it up for public comment. Okay.
Still the case?
Okay. We have one comment joining us electronically. Angel Castillo, go ahead, the time is yours.
Good evening, Angel Castillo, Ogden resident. I'd just like to thank the council for considering increasing to the benchmark. As it was pointed out, there are many folks that would suffer financially if they wanted to serve. And by making it so that it is a little more accessible to people, I think you'll have a better return on a larger group of folks that can apply for and run to serve our city. And I'd also like you to consider in the future that as the rest of the city's raises move forward with percentage increases, I encourage you to do that for the council, because we really want to have average citizens be able to participate and serve if they can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chair, seeing no more hands raised or people rushing to the podium, I would make a motion that we close the public hearing on this item.
Second?
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember Chaburka to close the public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes. And now I would accept a motion.
I'll make a motion then that we adopt ordinance 2021-64.
Second?
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer to adopt proposed ordinance 2021-64 and a second by Councilmember Chaburka. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Chaburka,
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez,
No.
Councilmember Nadolski,
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Vice Chair White,
Aye.
Chair Blair.
Aye. That passes. Thank you.
Chair, I think, it isn't directly related to this, but with our inflationary trend that's happening right now, we've got to start thinking differently than we have in the past, or we're going to have a real problem with our workforce. At the sewer district last night, it was passed to have a 7.5% increase. That's just 1 year to try to compensate for the 6.9% inflation rate, and still get them something to get them a little bit ahead. I just kind of bring that up because we're going to be getting into the budget season soon. We need to start being mindful of what our employees are being bombarded with so that we can keep them. So I just throw that out for that reason.
Good point. Thank you. Next up, we have unfinished business. Continued from November 9th, 2021, the proposed rezone of 551 East, 900 North. And we have Barton Brierly here tonight to walk us through that.
Okay, good evening, Chair Blair and city councilors and mayor. So this is a continuation of a previous item. This is considering a zone change for property at 551 East, 900 North. The site was formerly a church, and the church was no longer using it, so they sold the property, and the church building has now been demolished. The proposal is to rezone the property from the current R16, which is a single-family residential zone, to an R3 zone, which is a multifamily zone, with the intent to develop a townhome project, which was not be allowed in the R1 zone, which is why they're asking for the rezone. When staff did the analysis of this, we looked at the zoning in the area and found it was a little bit unique. The property has always been used for a church. On the east, there is a single-family neighborhood. On the north, there's a mobile home park. On the west, there's a nursing home, senior home. On the south, there are townhomes. So it's really on kind of a peninsula of zoning between others. And we felt that this would be an appropriate border between a single-family neighborhood and a more multifamily zoning neighborhood. So the Planning Commission heard the item on July 7th, and they recommended 6-0 to approve it with those considerations of the neighborhood, and this being a edge between a single-family neighborhood and others. An appropriate transition from going lower density to the east to higher density to the west. On October 5th, this came to the City Council, and we had a number of citizens who came and expressed a number of concerns. One of the concerns was the statement from the general plan that says all new residential development east of Adams Avenue should be of the single family dwelling unit variety.
That was the community plan, not the general.
Yes. To ensure that the development pattern, certain areas should take on new zoning designations. These proposed zoning designations are consistent with the already established housing types in the area. And we looked at this and felt that, as I mentioned, it is sort of a peninsula there. It's not like you're putting a multifamily right in the center of a single-family residential neighborhood, that it is on the edge and it would be consistent with the already established housing types in this particular area. So we still felt that it was consistent with the community plan. So the council at October 5th tabled the item, and on the 19th you had a work session to discuss options, and then there was a neighborhood meeting on October 25th to hear their concerns and see if there were some solutions to those concerns. The concerns of the neighbors were the density of the project, traffic and circulation, building height, car lights and screening, the dog park. There was a proposal to have a dog park on the south side of it. Just the scope of what the R3 could permit, desire for a single family, and parking. Those were the main concerns. So with that input, the developer revised his plans and came up with a new drawing to try to address the concerns that were heard from the neighbors. And so this came back to the council on November 9th, and the council directed that a development agreement be drawn up that would place a conditional overlay on the property that would limit the uses if it were rezoned to R3 and address those neighborhood concerns, and you directed that be brought back to the council, which is why we're here tonight. So the proposal would do a number of things. There's a revised development concept. So the concept would be for townhomes on the property with a maximum of 32, so addressing the density questions. There would be a two-story maximum height. And just begin to address those height concerns. There's a requirement in there to have 8 to 10 guest parking to address overflow parking, or if people have extra vehicles or have visitors, that there be extra parking without a lot of spillover into the neighborhoods. To address the lighting, there's a requirement to shield those lights from the neighbors. There's a requirement in the proposal to require 1,400 square foot for each townhome. Now, I know I've bought several houses, and my first 2 were less than that, so that's a pretty good size townhome. There are architectural standards such as brick, stone, or stucco on all sides of the ground floor. And the city has group dwelling standards and would need to meet that, and they're very rigorous standards. So with that, it's coming before you with the proposal to approve that with the R3 zone with this conditional overlay and the development agreement, which would impose those standards. So you have the option, you could just deny the petition, and if you did that, it would remain R16, and they could be proposed for a single family development, or someone could come in with a different proposal for rezoning. You could accept the Planning Commission's recommendation, which was to change it to R3, or to approve it with the R3 and the conditional overlay and the development agreement. So that concludes our staff report.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, I guess you're going to give the developer a crack at us?
Yes,
Good. I have a few questions.
okay.
Thank you for work through this whole situation. I know it's been a long time, but I appreciate everybody's input and the city's input. Like he said, the church has been demolished now. I think the steeple's about the only thing left, and we tried to salvage and repurpose as much as we could. We took a lot of the hardwood floor out, and it's being repurposed into tables and cutting boards, and all the tables and chairs were taken out. We were able to get a lot of the chairs donated and sold for $1 a chair to some of the other Christian churches in town. So we were able to put to use a lot of the stuff in it, but now we are ready to move forward, and we're hoping we can get this approved tonight to do this townhome concept and with the overlay zone. I've reviewed what was proposed in the language in there, and we as developers are agreeable to everything that's been in that overlay as proposed. So we're open for any questions. We hope we can answer anything that you might have, and we hope to make a really nice project for the community.
Brandon, could you put that slide back up, the layout? That's my question. Is that your intention to use that layout?
Yes, about the only thing that will change, well, it'll be if the Planning Commission comes up with anything, and we think that we've addressed all of the side yard setbacks and the open space requirements that are required in the group dwelling zoning ordinance. The architects and engineers have reviewed that
Where
also.
will dumpsters be?
So, well, that didn't get redrawn on. The dumpsters will be where I don't know how to point.
Yeah.
Basically, it'll be on the west side where that great big white circle tree is.
Oh, okay, all right.
Up there at the top. So that's
Okay.
where the dumpsters will be. The retention basin will be towards the back, but that'll all be, worked out through the engineers and the
Okay.
Planning Commission.
I've got to say, I have spoken with many of the residents that were involved in the process. You have gained their trust, and that's a big deal.
Well, I appreciate
I
that.
think it was admirable that you came to the neighborhood meeting that happened, and were willing to sit up there like a turkey at the turkey shoot. Maybe it felt like that, maybe not, I don't know. But anyway, that was a really good model that I think other developers hopefully will follow when they're trying to make changes such as this. But anyway, I think there's some neighborhood goodwill that is behind you on this thing.
And we understood, and I understand and appreciated all of those neighbors' concern. I mean, they went to church here for years and years. You know, when we had the open house to take the time capsule out there, I mean, there was tears. People walked through there. I was married in that gym, and you know, and so we know it's emotional. Why watching the demolition go down and talking to my demolition contractor, you'd be surprised how many of them have driven by and taken pictures and sad to see their church disappear. And I get that, but we're hopefully now that it's down and that emotion will pass and we can build a nice product for them, something that will be beneficial.
Well, I just want to commend you for the
Thank
work
you.
you've done.
Is there an HOA on that, Steve?
No, we're not going to sell them off, and so it will be a rental project, and so we'll control the whole thing, so there won't need to be an HOA.
So there's the manager on the premises then?
It won't be on site, but it will be
On-site.
managed. It will be managed by a property manager,
Okay.
which will be.
They'll give him his telephone number.
It's probably going to be my son.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll have our own property management company that will monitor it, and you know, we want to keep it nice. So, like I say, I think we've explained in the past. You know, we put rules in place for bringing in their garbage cans, for picking up the dog doo-doo, for you know, anything you can do to help keep them nice, because we want it to stay nice for a long, long time.
I do like your layout, though. I think that it's going to make a good street presence as well as make it pretty functional.
They do still have some concerns, and I hope that this council and the city can address it, but I would like to see the parking on 900 North addressed and either limit it to just one side or none at all, because that road does get congested. There was a lot of concern about how long you have to wait to get on Washington Boulevard, but I've been in and out of there 1,000 times now, and I've never had to wait more than 45 seconds to get onto Washington from 900. But when I'm pulling in there with my trailer on and stuff, and you got a semi parked on one side and delivery vans parked on the other side, that road's a little scary.
Well, semis are technically not allowed to be stopped.
He parks there every night. He lives in the
I know.
trailer park.
I
So
know. Maybe we ought to see if
But-
we can't get our administration to do a little enforcement there.
yeah. So I mean that could be that would be something that the neighborhood, I think, would appreciate if the city has a way to change that and make 900 North so that they're limited to maybe one side or none. Like I said, I don't know the ins and outs of how to make that happen, but I think that would help that community personally.
Yeah.
We're taking notes.
Thanks.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Diamond.
Thank you.
Chair?
Yes.
I just have a question for Councilmember Heyer. So then, I'm assuming from your comments that you believe the residents are.
Oh, yeah, they after the neighborhood meeting, they were, there was a meeting that they had right before our last council meeting on this topic, where they, you know, we met in here, they met in our workroom, and they actually got quite a bit at ease. You know, they recognized that this was gonna have to develop into something. And it wouldn't develop into anything good unless somebody made enough money to make it good. And that's where the density question kind of came in. I still think they would have liked something a little less dense, but in the end, they were okay with this density.
The reason I asked about the HOA is that there was a comment at when one of the citizens mentioned that there's tighter control if you have an HOA, but if they have a manager or a management team operating this premises, then I believe that control is still intact in that area. So,
Well, technically, they will have an HOA, but it's the only owner there's one owner, and
Yeah.
he'll control the vote.
right.
So, you know, it's kind of a moot point. It's really what it boils down to.
Thank
But
you.
there's tighter controls than if you had it public residence.
Okay, should we receive input on this? Yep.
Sure.
So we'll open it up for input on this item. I don't see any. Nope. She's sneaky. Okay, we have one hand raised. Angel Castilla, go ahead. The time is yours.
Good evening, Angel Castillo, Ogden residents. I'd like to thank the City Council for working through the process of suggesting a conditional overlay. I think it's really important as we're still developing that we don't, with a broad brush, change zoning that's been in a single-family residential neighborhood for a while. So I believe the conditional overlay of an R3 is a really good decision, and I wholeheartedly ask you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, you ready for a motion then?
I am.
Then I would make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2021-45.
I second it.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer to adopt, and a second by Councilmember Stevens to adopt proposed ordinance 2021-45. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez,
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski,
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka,
Aye.
Vice Chair White,
Aye.
Chair Blair.
Aye, that passes. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Look forward to a great project there.
Okay.
Steve, do you have a timeline when you think we're gonna be moving people in? Well, I don't have any control over that.
We're gonna move full steam ahead, so we're gonna go to the architect this week to get all of the engineering done. We're moving full steam ahead.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Next up, we have new business. First on there is the voter participation area, and we have Ross Watkins here tonight to present.
Okay. So state law requires cities to adopt voter participation areas by January 1st of 2022. So this is kind of our last chance to get that done unless we want to have a special meeting next week. And then every 10 years after that, a new voter participation area has to be adopted. State law also says that cities that have established city council districts, like we have our 4 districts, cities like that are allowed to adopt voter participation areas that match those same district boundaries, which is kind of a best practice anyway, because it just makes it easier for the county to count votes when they align like that. So what you see before you is the current council district map, and what is being proposed is that you adopt this map as the voter participation area map until new council districts are adopted early next year. So some discussion will take place before then. We're not able to get those established before the end of the year. So this is kind of the compromise. We have to vote on some boundaries before the end of the year for VPAs. And then next year, when you establish your new council districts, you can reestablish your voter participation areas to match them. So hopefully that makes sense. Do you have any questions for me?
We get to do this again.
Yes.
Yep.
Ooh.
Again.
And again. Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any council discussion, or I would entertain a motion?
Chair, I'll make a motion then that we adopt Joint Resolution 2021-7.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember Chaburka to adopt Joint Resolution 2021-7. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lopez,
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski,
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka,
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Vice Chair White,
Aye.
Chair Blair.
Aye, that passes. Thank you. Next up is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding concerns or ideas on any topic. Please state your name and address for the record. Sorry, I didn't know if you had a question, Betty.
I have a statement. Is this it for tonight? Is it time to go home and celebrate?
No.
It is the holidays.
Yeah. So yeah, we now open it up to public comments.
And I did leave my grandbabies to come down here and look at all of your smiling faces, who came all the way from sunny San Diego for snow. That's all they wanted.
It's
Now
coming.
we
I
want
hope they get it.
snow,
Yep,
so
it's
they've
coming.
had fun. Yeah, please don't start my time yet. Thanks. Little intro, and I sat there and tried to write something so I could be as focused as possible. So to our city council, mayor, and administration, to say that I'm disappointed by the decision earlier this evening to postpone the resolution on the Marshall White Center would be a gross understatement. It appears that it's difficult to maintain positivity and hope when the story changes from week to week. Last week, I left the work session feeling pretty good. Say, oh, maybe, yes, okay, finally. And tonight, a totally different story. I believe the Y has had over 4 years to make a decision, bring proposals, revamp their proposals, and bring them to this body. To wait until the 11th hour when we're ready to take action with the resolution, to me, is disingenuous and seems like another stall tactic or something even worse. Myself and other constituents have been coming to this body, like I said, over 4 years, back and forth, trying to negotiate, trying to understand, and hold all of us accountable to what we say we were going to do, and that is do right by Marshall White. We've had plans with the consultant. We did surveys. We had numerous meetings, focus groups, all of that, as well as community forums to say that these are the desires and wishes of many of those that live in Ogden City. By putting this off and soliciting more time, more input, proposal from somebody, like I said, who's had all the time in the world to put one together, doesn't seem fair. It just doesn't seem fair. By opening it up for them to put a proposal together, or we open it up for others to come with a proposal? Or is the Y our only other game in town? Again, that concerns me. All we keep hearing is wait, 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 wait. How long do we have to wait? 10 years, 4 years, 2 years, and now another month. What's going to change in 30 days that hasn't already been said and spoken? Again, if that was their desire to be at the table, and I don't see him tonight, and I don't think I've seen him for a while, why didn't they have that in place in time? To have that again at the last minute, I think is disingenuous, it's unfair to the process that we've all been engaged in. And I would just close by saying, I encourage you to reconsider your decision earlier tonight to postpone that and to move forward with the resolution and do right by Marshall White. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a hand raised online. David Timmerman. Go ahead, David. The time is yours.
Hi, this is David Timmerman, Ogden resident. I'm assuming you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Just to support what Ms. Betty just said, I'm sorely disappointed that we've kicked the can again. We had a meeting a few weeks ago at the Marshall White Center. The community of Ogden residents showed up and all were very supportive. The city manager showed up and agreed that we should move forward and that we should set a date. And here we are, ready to do both of those things, and neither has occurred. And again, we have decided to kick the can rather than pick it up, deal with it, and support the project, which has been abysmally ignored, if not completely put aside by the current administration. And I'm very discouraged and I am concerned Moved here with my family 6 years ago, going on 7 years, and Marshall White became a problem right away. The community got organized and got started, and here we are again. All this time, and potentially progress put aside. Please get us back on track as soon as possible. Please set a date, and please move forward with the wishes of the community. We could have a facility much like many other communities have, which are a community center, a large, beautiful community center, revitalizing that depressed area of our community. And I don't think it's an either-or question. I feel that the city administration has decided that they will promote a Boys and Girls Club at the location they've specified, and they'll just delay. And in my opinion, Marshall White should come first. And so please, listen to the pleadings of the taxpayers in Ogden City, the people who care about that part of the city and the people who live there. I'm a retired officer. Marshall White was one of the only black serving officers in the state of Utah when he was gunned down in 1963. Let's honor him. And as Betty said, let's do right by Marshall White. Please represent our state and our community and get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Okay, next up we have Angel Castillo. Go ahead, Angel, the time is yours.
Good evening, Angel Castillo, Ogden residents. I too am disappointed with the fact that a resolution didn't happen today, specifically because, as it was stated during the work session, that there was an opportunity for both the administration and the council to move together with a joint proposal this evening, and they didn't. And I can only imagine that the reason is something that Councilmember Nadolski has quoted frequently during meetings, is that when there's a will, something will happen. And there are many other things that the administration seems to have a will over, and it's disappointing that there isn't one that is clear, that makes a commitment, that says, yes, we're going to do this. We are going to build a rec center on the footprint of the Marshall White, and we will invest X number of dollars, and here is the date that we are targeting. I'm disappointed that that's not happening. And to be quite honest, if it weren't for Councilmember Nadolski's leadership pushing, and the same with Luis Lopez pushing to get an answer, we wouldn't even be this far. And I am disappointed that seems to be the catchword for today. Not necessarily at the council. I'm proud of the work that the council has done, but I'm extremely disappointed in the administration constantly passing the buck, pushing it down the road, and not listening to the constituents, and seemingly being obstructionist to the council who controls the budget. And while we're talking about the budget, I too echo many of the sentiments that were in the work session of we should be applying for ARP money. And I understand that water and sewer and infrastructure is a priority, and that's great. Go ahead. Let's go ahead and apply for everything that we can for water, sewer, and infrastructure, and then reallocate the BDO revenue that we would be spending in that area anyway to go to the Marshall White Center. And while we're at it, just to re-echo that you should be applying for things. The fiscal recovery funds that are directly from the governor to the state allow payment to city workers that have to work through COVID, and this covers teachers, police, and fire. And you can pay up to $13 an hour in addition to wages with a cap of $25,000 per eligible worker. Why aren't you applying for that? Don't you think that our officers haven't worked hard enough, haven't been underpaid long enough, that you should come across with some pay that is clearly delineated by the government that it is acceptable to pay that to our officers? They're overworked, underpaid, the department is understaffed. Do the right thing for Marshall White and do the right thing for the police officers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Heath Sato. Go ahead, Heath, the time is yours.
Hi, Heath Sato, Ogden resident. I'm mad, and I've been told I need to try to come across more gently, so please understand I'm trying as hard as I can tonight to keep my cool. I'm not as good at it as a lot of other people are. I want to back Miss Betty, David Timmerman, Angel Castillo's comments, and I could go on a tear about how the administration is kicking the ball down the road yet again. But I don't need to tell you that. You all know that. You're still being played, and I think most of you know that. The YMC came up out of nowhere again. The entire work session today was the administration telling you on every issue that they'll tell you when they figure it out themselves, among themselves. They're not working with you. And that hurts the city in every way. I heard a lot of weasel words in the work session today. I'm happy to see some of you pushing back against it in the most gentle way possible, but I'm not convinced gentle is getting us to where we need to be. Anyways, I hope you will all use some of your time off over the next couple weeks to think about the work session you had today. Maybe even play it back and listen closely to if you actually got any answers or just sentences that sort of sounded like answers without actually telling you anything. Have a good break. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Sebastian Benitez. Go ahead, Sebastian. The time is yours.
Hello, guys. I don't like to participate. Sometimes I feel so frustrated because this administration is making so hard for the community. And make me like the very mentioned, we are going to represent the community, we are going to make happy the community, or we are going to make harder and harder. For the last 6 years, I don't want Mike Caldwell run himself for the second term because I tried to make the message, we can do it much better. I spent time, frustration, running for mayor. I did it again this year. I don't like to do this one. I don't want to do it because it's taking time for my family, for myself. It's taking money. But look like this administration do not understand what's going on in the community. Ogden City is one of the only community in the Weaver County and around the Daly County do not have a decent community center. I understand they wanted to close this and make worse and worse for the community. I suggest, please, don't delay. The community are waiting. Represent to the community, take the resolution. We will find the money. We will find everything to make beautiful community center. There's so much money around we can get to build this community center that keep this and honor the Black police officer in 1963. I born in that year. It's the only community center honor the Black police officer. Please do it right. Don't lose time anymore. I suggest this administration, Mike Caldwell, you are there. You know me. I like you. But do it the right thing, please. Don't delay. Mark Johnson, you too. Please don't make harder. We have to make easier for the community. We will find the money. $30,000, $50,000, $1 million, we can find it. Like how respond when Ogden High School was rebuilt. We can do it the same. Thank you and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no other comments in the chambers and no other hands raised, turn the time over. Comments from the administration and the mayor.
Sure, I'll just jump in and say I honor the promises we made to work with you all to figure some of this stuff out. There's a lot that needs to get worked through, and contrary to some of that popular opinion, we're here to do that with you, and we appreciate the partnership. And then, again, I'll just wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Comments from council members.
Did you miss something?
Chair?
The video.
I did. Sorry. I believe we have something. We'll cue that up now. That is my fault.
Oh,
I
okay.
missed that.
All right, well.
We have
I'll
a
wait.
special tribute tonight. For somebody that was here before these TVs were installed.
I like that view right
Yeah.
now.
Before the building was built.
Hey, Brandon. It's also not on the screen.
There are some moments that I'm glad about it, and moments that, I would like to have it continue on, but that's not the case, and I think the decision of not to run was the proper one at that particular time. So I feel good. You build relationships not only with present council members, but also past council members. Those are relationships that you carry on for the rest of your life, and they mean a lot to me. I've been able to associate with this many different individuals that have contributed a great deal to the city. I won't miss the long nights, but that's part of the business. That's part of what we're into it. I will miss the parade. I'll miss going to Weber State's football and basketball games, but most important of all, I'll miss the association with the many friends and people that I had the opportunity to serve with. I'll have Tuesday nights off, for sure. I won't have any meetings. What I want to do is continue to be engaged in the city to make sure that we're continuing to moving ahead in a positive and effective manner. I just want to thank Ogden for this opportunity and the experience. It has been, like I said, a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and something that I'll remember the rest of my life. I grew up here. I'm a hometown boy, and I believe Ogden is a great place to raise my family. It's a great place to raise our family, the families that come and visit with Ogden. It's a great place to work. And that's what I want to depart to and say to the citizens, the employees, the city, the administration, the council staff, is that I appreciate all the opportunities they gave me and the way they've been able to treat my family. And there's a great deal that I'm taking from this position than what I contribute. Bob Holt had a saying, he says, thanks for the memories, and that's what I want to do for the parting addresses, that I want to thank them for the memories that they've given to me. Most people don't know who Bob Holt is.
I'm sorry that I forgot that.
Oh.
But that was a great
That was all right.
little tribute.
Well, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well as can be anyway.
That was a second interview.
Yeah.
Chair, maybe I'll lead off with a few minutes. In that interview, I said I'd like to be engaged in Ogden City as long as I have. Being only 39, I've got many miles to go, but the emotions tonight are pretty strong. 16 years ago, I sat in a chair here on the diocese, and you never anticipate what the last day would be like. But it is here, and today is the last day. As mentioned before, there are some highs and lows. There are there are more enjoyable events than not, and like I mentioned there, I want to thank everyone for what you've contributed to not only myself but also my my family. We have been greeted well, and the past 16 years has really been an enjoyable experience. I grew up here in Ogden. I grew up just west of the stadium in that neighborhood. My upbringing came from just basic family. My dad was a baker at Continental Baking Company, where the Hostess plant used to be, and my mother was manager at Green Stamps. And so, I wasn't an outstanding student at Billman High School, but I had a coach up there, Chick Hislop, that he had the main vision of, if you're going to participate, I'm going to get the best I can out of you. And that's basically what I focused on. I want to thank the citizens. I too will miss coming and listening to the comments from the citizens, and especially Betty, associating with you. Betty, we've been in many of these meetings here, but it's the citizens that we want to serve, and we want to do our best, not only for the city, but also provide benefits for the city. I believe Ogden has the greatest administration in the state of Utah. Our employees are exceptional. They are the best that this state can provide. And they work night and day. They give 110% of whatever they're going to do for the benefit of Ogden City. And so we have great employees. In fact, I stated in the budget sessions that our greatest assets is not our equipment, our facilities, but it's in our employees. And the employees need to have leaders, and the leaders are the directors. We have the greatest amount of directors in the state of Utah here. Men who see a vision, and women who see a vision, have a focus of what direction we need to take Ogden. I'd also like to thank Mark. We go back many, many years, Mark, and most of the time we've been on opposite fence, but every once in a while we cross over that fence. But you've been a real good friend to me, and I appreciate that. And Mayor, I want to thank you for being able to build on the foundation that was laid by our former mayor. We are seeing successes in the city that was established when Mayor Godfrey was mayor, and we're building on those opportunities. And Mayor, you had a vision and a foresight to do that. Our council staff, Mavis, which takes care of us, Brandon, that makes us look best, Darcy, who makes sure I get the emails right, and Eric doesn't say much, but he's always there, and it's best to have him. We in a basketball game, you have the main starters, but you also have a bench coming in, and I think Eric is part of that bench that is going to, if Brandon's not here, that Eric can step in and take care of that. And, we acquired Ross. We always wondered when Amy Sue left, what hole are we going to fill that with? And Ross did that very capable. And I think that has to do with our director and our assistant director in finding capable individuals to lead out and do those things. And Glenn is like oil on water. You know, he just makes things so smooth, and you go in and talk to him, and you felt like, gosh, I talked to one of my best friends, and that's the way Glenn's attitude is. And Janine, I can't say any more about Janine. You know, when Bill Cook left, I thought, man, who's going to fill his shoes? And Janine came in the interview, and Janine didn't speak as much. In fact, she had the same dialogue as what Eric had. We hardly heard anything from Janine, but but she came in, and I wasn't sure whether that she was the director. And when she spoke and told us, there's a warm feeling that said, gosh, that's the person we want to be the director of our council staff. And that was the correct decision, the most perfect decision. And we're just pleased to have Janine as part of that. I can go through the council members. Angela, I think you listen with both ears and you see with both eyes, but you see and hear what the public is saying, and that I can take that from you. And Ben seems like he knows exactly what the administration and what the legislation parts is, and he has his priorities straight. Several times he's missed council meetings, but the reason he missed council meetings is because he was doing things with his family, and that's what we need to do. We need to be with our families. This job here is going to come and go, but our families will never be that way. Bart and I go back further than this council, but I've enjoyed his friendship and his companionship over the years. And Marcia, you always seems like you work with the numbers, and I says, gosh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could look on a page and figure out what those numbers are saying, but I've never been a numbers person, so that's something I can take with me. And Louise is a special individual. I listened to what his experience in coming to the United States and some of his trials and challenges in his early life and where he is now today. And I can say, if Luis can do it, I can do it, because it has been proven. And that's what I take from Luis. I take the scope that, gosh, I can do anything I want in life because I have a focus, and I can go ahead and do those things. Now, I have to go back to my colleague that sits over here, and that's Rich. Rich and I go back further than any of you. Rich's mother and dad was my wife's mother and dad, best friends. My wife tended Rich. In fact, she could tell stories about Rich that we wouldn't want to have. We wouldn't want a voice here. We've ridden together for a number of years to council meetings. I guess we've solved every council problem that there is. But Rich, you're a real good friend. And you know, someone asked an individual, what is the richest man in the world? And he looked down and he says, family and friends. If you have those two elements, you're the richest man in the world. So, you know, after tonight, like I says, I'll be leaving and not have Tuesdays. I'll have to do what my wife tells me on Tuesday evenings, I guess, but that's about what it is. But but I really enjoyed it, and I thank you. I thank you for all the opportunities you've given to me. I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for association, and you can't put a value on that. And I'll keep my eyes and ears open and watching the direction that Ogden is going. Ogden is and can continue to be the best city in the state. And whenever we go to conventions, I always say, I'm from Ogden. And the reason I'm from Ogden, they say, oh yeah, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. And it is because of the people that we have here in Ogden. And I thank you for that.
Mr. Chair, could I offer a standing ovation?
Yes, please.
No.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I might?
Please.
I am grateful that he didn't tell all my secrets, because we do go back far enough to where he knows some of them, and some of the names that his wife used to call me when I was little, and she's much older than me, so she was my elder. But it's been really nice for me as a council member. When I was elected, that Doug was already in place, and we had a history, and so he was able to mentor me, and I appreciate, he's a quiet man generally. But boy, I tell you what, sometimes he just speaks brilliance, and I appreciate some of his insights. But yeah, I'm not sure if we solved a lot of the problems, but we sure talked about them, didn't we, Doug? But it's been nice to be able to ride with you. We started that when we were first starting to focus on, the idle-free type things, air quality issues here, and so that was our effort to try to mitigate some of that air pollution, is to kind of double up. And I've asked Ken if he wants to do that, and he says, no, I don't want to do that. But anyway, it's been really a lot of fun to serve with you, Doug, and you're an excellent man. You've got great character. I look forward to seeing what you do in the future with your family. You're just a good example, and thank you for your service and for your example.
Thank you.
This is the route, the way we're going. I'll go next. You talked about Doug being a mentor, and I think Doug was a mentor to everybody here. At our Christmas party, I said that I tried to find Doug an action figure doll, and I believe he deserves one. And I talked about Doug's greatest strengths, and I'll mention those again. Everyone that comes here on Tuesday nights, whether they are paid by or they work here, they're elected, or just concerned citizen here, has a love and a passion for this city. And Doug is no different. Doug loves Ogden. And he likes to joke that he's only 39, but I think his love for this city goes back a lot longer than that. Doug's a great teammate. Doug wants to help out, and he wants to help council members do better. He wants to help the community do better. He wants to help this city continue to be better. And he does whatever he can. He does whatever he can or whatever he has to make us better. I said Doug's a great listener also. Doug truly listens because he wants to know as much as he can before he responds. And like I said, as a young council member, I watched Doug. I got to sit and watch Doug take his notes, which is another one of his superpowers, by the way. Doug's an incredible note taker. But Doug takes all the information in, formulates his thoughts, and then shares. Like Rich said, he doesn't speak a lot, and he doesn't speak loudly, but he does speak brilliantly. And I appreciate his insight, and I appreciate his wisdom. And just like with all other people that have left our staff or have left our city or have left the city council, that's what we'll miss. There will be some wisdom that is definitely lost, and we're going to have to find people to fill that role. Because Doug, there's a lot of wisdom that we'll leave with you, and I will miss it. I told you Doug's a great friend. I always know that when there's a city council function or a city activity, I'll see him. I know that he'll come out of his way to say hello and welcome me. Make sure when you don't feel alone or you're not there alone. Doug is a wonderful friend. Doug's a great father and a great husband, and he's been a wonderful example to me in so many different aspects. And it's truly been an honor, not only to serve with you, but to learn from you. And I thank you, Doug, for everything that you taught me.
Thank you.
Well, I certainly echo what these guys have just said, but I think I will miss your smile. I don't know that I've ever seen you frown or mad or get mad. I think that Zoe will miss having you ask about her. But part of that is that you cared about us not just as council members, but as our family. And I think, asking about our families and how they're doing, and we'll definitely miss that. But I agree. You go out of your way. You make us feel good, and I have really appreciated that. Times that I've sat next to you, I agree with your great note taking, and actually, I will miss being next to you on occasion, because you always were fun to be sitting next to. So I hope that you have a great time in retirement, whatever that means. And thank you for your service. So
Thank you.
Zoe will miss you too.
Anytime you ask anybody about Doug, they'll say Doug has a good heart. And you just can't be a good person these days without having a good heart. And Doug, you got that in spades. You've always brought that to the chambers. You brought it to your interactions with every one of us. And I want you to know I love you. I love your heart. We'll miss your heart, but we know your heart's still here. It's still in Ogden. Thanks for all you've given.
Thank you.
Amigo,
Amigo.
thank you for your service. Thank you for your kind words. I won't miss you because I will continue to see you around. Appreciate it.
I'm up next, I guess. Doug, that's one thing that I've learned since I've been on the council. I mean, it's been 4 years now, even though I'm the newest member, is that everybody up here definitely wants to do their best to represent the city. And I really feel that from you, Doug. And I will definitely miss seeing you around town because you always show up, and I really appreciate that. And I'm sure you still will, and so that'll be awesome, just like Councilmember Lopez said. I'm sure you'll still be around, and we'll be able to connect, and we'll definitely want your input on several of these things you've been working on for so long. I'm sure you'll, call us up or attend a meeting and give us your thoughts, or email us, etc. if you don't want to do that on a Tuesday. But I look forward to that too.
However, you only have 3 minutes now.
Yeah, you will have a little bit of a limited time.
I forgot how to use Zoom.
One more thing. We're going to miss your predictions on Weber State
He
games.
sure goofed it up last week, though.
Well, you didn't understand that. I said Weber State would score at least 3 points.
Oh, that's good.
But Weber will win by 12 on Thursday.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Oh,
Well,
wait. Oh, yeah. So I think
we need
still have
comments
some
from
comments,
council
yeah,
members.
Some actual comments.
Oh, we haven't, went the real ones, huh?
Yeah, that was just Doug.
The non-ceremonial.
All right.
These were
okay.
real too.
Go ahead.
So one comment that I have is, which comment and a question. So I'm very troubled and find it very troubling, the fact that the YMCA name, the perception of the YMCA for the YMCA is that they have dropped the ball, and that there is a negative perception out there about the YMCA. And I would like to ask, I believe it might be Mr. Johnson that has had those direct conversations in connection. I don't know, Mayor, but either one of you, I would love to ask if you might be willing to help us clarify that, what I believe to be a misunderstanding or a misperception, because I find that very, very troubling.
I'll jump in on that. We have no ill will with the YMCA at all. We've gone back and forth with them. YMCA is a new program in Utah. It doesn't have the same cultural impact that it has a lot of other places. We have some amazing board members that came out of places where the YMCA was really robust and doing amazing things, and that's what we want to celebrate. They have a place out by Lincoln Elementary right now where they do great after-school programming and everything else. Our goal is to stand them up. Anything that has been said that would tear what they've done down is absolutely inaccurate. I think there's a maturity process as we go through some of this stuff. And if that's on the city's end that we haven't done enough to help stand that up and to support that and to celebrate that, then that will be on us. But, you know, we've never meant to be disparaging to the YMCA and their programming and their intent and their vision. This is a big number and a big ask, so we're just trying to figure out who's doing what and where, and who can employ what types of resources. So that takes some time there's some sausage making there that takes some time to figure out. I've never thrown them under the bus, wouldn't throw them under the bus. That's I've said in a number of these public meetings that they do a great job of programming and building a culture there, and that's something that we're very interested in.
I think the perception is that they dropped the ball and disengaged, and now at the last hour they want to come back and engage with us. I think that's the perception, and I don't believe that's correct.
And that isn't correct. They were ready to bring forth a proposal pre-COVID, and when COVID hit, I think that just slowed everything down with them. So I think they're resurrecting what the work they had done, and they've done a considerable amount of work, and are going to come forward with that, and people can review it for what it is.
Did you request they submit that proposal?
I told them if they were going to, they ought to get going on it.
So here's the problem, and this is part of what tonight's discussion helped us move through, and it's okay if people are upset at us for what decisions we made tonight, but the problem and the challenge that we've had, and the reason we have not led out and made progress, is because we have not led, period. We haven't led from the council side, and we haven't led from the admin side, and we certainly haven't led jointly. This thing has just been kicked down the road. There's no question about it. And the comments we heard tonight are a reflection of the lack of trust in all of us, every one of us, admin and council, myself included. I will own that mistrust, and I will own any heat that comes from what happens tonight. And if this whole thing fails in the end, I'll own that too. But I'm not going to stop until we've at least tried our hardest. And I think if we all try our hardest, this thing gets to success. There's no doubt in my mind. The reason people are confused, the reason people have a bad perception of YMCA is not YMCA's fault. It's our fault for not operating transparently. Part of what we overcame tonight and what we will overcome in a joint resolution, not just council going it alone, but council and mayor going together, and hopefully we get that commitment in writing, not just in word, and that the resolution has the same amount of fact and teeth and commitment that the one that we were considering tonight has. So if that's a tactic to push it off, to change it and to weaken it, well, we're going to be doing this in the full daylight in the public. Oh, you'll know exactly what changes in that thing. So I hope it's got meat. That's on us to decide if we're going to pass and when we're going to put it on the agenda. But we're on the 11th. It's my full intent to pass a resolution, the same as tonight's, that includes the mayor's name on it. And that means that we are on the same freaking page, finally. And not only does it mean we're on the same damn page, it means we're going to do it with the help of the committee. We're going to do it with transparency. We're not going to do it in the back by asking the YMCA to submit a freaking proposal that no one knows about. That's not the YMCA's fault. They don't know where to go with this either because there's disarray at the top. So if that disarray at the top costs us a little bit of heat to get sorted out, well, we can take the heat. But I'll tell you what, we have got to get ourselves sorted out. When I say ourselves, I'm talking council and admin together. And until we get on the same page, it's going to be a mess. So I sure hope the 11th is that hour. January 11th is the hour that we finally show and put into a vote that we are on the same page. And that everything we do happens in the daylight. And that everything we do comes with communication on the regular. And because if that can't happen, there's no way in the world we're going to unite this community into a project of that scale. That's my full intent of tonight's decision. And if that comes with a little bit of heat, I'll take that. Because I want this thing to get to the finish line. And I truly believe we can't finish it if we don't finish it together. So I hope that come 11th, we've got the community on board with being together as well. I do recognize, though, that this has gone on long enough. Not only has it gone on long enough, it's gone on way too long. Patience wears thin. Feelings are very hard right now. They're raw. But you know what? That's a good thing because it means we give a damn, don't we? I bet we do. And that's why we're here every damn day to do this, right? We got to get this done. And we're going to get it done together. That's my full intent. I hope everybody agrees. Thank you.
You going?
Nope, I was gonna ask if there's any more.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to say that I agree with the sentiments of both of my colleagues. And yeah, my full intent is that we pass the resolution on the 11th, whether, hopefully it's a joint resolution, but I think we should pass one regardless. You know, we have to move it forward. The only reason I'm willing to delay is that I want it to be a joint resolution, but I say we move forward whether it is or not.
Agreed. We're passing a resolution on the 11th, one way or another, in my view. I'm voting for one, I hope.
Okay. Any other comments?
I have another comment. I was waiting to see if anybody else was going to go. Any comments?
You only get one.
Hmm?
You only get one.
Me? No, I don't.
He's going to take yours.
All right.
No, you go ahead. I'll wait.
I don't have any comments.
Oh, you don't have any comments? Okay. I thought since this was your resolution, you would have some comments, but that's okay.
Hey, I've been trying to pass it for a couple of weeks, so you know it.
Yeah, it would just be good to, in the public, to hear if you are in support or kind of what you're thinking.
Of my
Since it was yours.
resolution that I created, yes, I'm very supportive of my resolution.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, and I will say that. So I have said from day one that I think it would be great that it was a joint resolution. That's why we stepped up, or at least I thought it was great that the mayor stepped up tonight, because we cannot do this on our own. It has to be a partnership. It has to be led by the administration, or it won't get done. I mean, that's period, the end. So that's one of the reasons why we delayed it. It has nothing to do with kicking the can down the road. It has everything to do with getting us all on board. And I think tonight actually was a great breakthrough. So, and not COVID.
Thank you so much. I was just going to say that I was actually very hopeful with our work session tonight. I don't say these often, that I'm hopeful about certain work that we do here at the council, because it's difficult work, because it's just the way that the government works with our checks and balances, unfortunately. I think that at our local level, we are an example of the best way that government can work if we compare ourselves sometimes to the state or the federal levels, where I think there's a lot more dysfunction than at the local level. But tonight I was hopeful. I was very hopeful. And I need a clarification. Is it the 11th or the 14th? I thought it was the 14th.
The 11th.
The 11th.
The 11th. I don't know why I thought of the work
The 4th is
session.
our next meeting.
What's that?
The 4th is the next meeting.
Okay, so the 11th. So anyways, what I look forward to is I look forward to having conversations with my constituents and my friends and people in the community. Betty, I would love to have a conversation with you if you like. You know that I'm always available, and I think obviously you know that I've been a supporter for these since day one and before. But I can understand the frustration. I've been frustrated too for a long, long time. I have been frustrated. But tonight I feel hopeful at that meeting because I think, for whatever reason, I believe that there was a public commitment, and to me that's very important. I think that was meant genuinely, and so I really appreciate that, and so. And as far as just to kind of close my comments, the way I started with the with the YMCA, my experience with the Y from day one is that they have always been, or they have always done what I believe the administration has asked them to do. They're not led by us, by the council. I think they have been led by the administration as to how they want to engage or how they want them to engage with us or with the administration. If I am wrong, please correct me at any moment. And so it's just very important to me because my interactions with the Y go way back. When I started my career, my early years of my career in education, working for the school district, I run programs hand in hand with the Y, and I've seen rotation in leadership changed in their ranks and in their programs, and I work with them very closely. And in regards to the Marshall White and the partnerships that we've tried to have and build with the Y, I think they've been nothing but just stellar and very responsible. So just wanted to make those statements for the record. Finally, my last comment about the salaries and my no vote. I just wanted to say that I am, and I was very conflicted about this. I think some of my colleagues know that for a long time I've expressed concern with my ideology behind having to vote to raise my salary, and I don't disagree with many of the comments or some of the comments that were made when we took that vote, that the work is necessary, that the pay is necessary. I don't necessarily disagree with any of those comments. It's just a personal philosophical conflict that I have, conscious conflict that I have with myself to having to do that. So there's that, and thank you.
Chair, can I make one more comment?
Please.
If time is the problem, the issue, we have a meeting on the 4th. Why can't we consider doing it on the 4th? I mean, we didn't have time to draft and review through legal and everything, a new joint resolution tonight to put into the chambers tonight. But it doesn't seem like rocket science to reformat that thing and get it through review and back to us on the 4th. Unless someone has substantive changes in mind, which I sure hope not, then it seems like something we ought to be able to do quickly. But is that something leadership can work with staff to figure out?
We can work through it, yeah. I mean,
If it's possible, I'd love to see it. If it's not, we're going to go with the 11th. But
yeah, I mean, when in the work session, we got a recommendation from the administration. Like I said, I don't believe 1 week is kicking it down the can, or kicking it down the road. So we can look through it and get it to them, or, work through it, but.
I think
Chair,
the
if I might.
administration, most of the individuals will be gone. And,
Yeah, I agree.
And I think we need to come up with a resolution that is going to be strong and sturdy. And like I say, I think the 11th is an effective date.
Mm-hmm.
Chair, if I
Please.
might, city attorney just mentioned that a lot of the attorneys are going to be out next week because of the holidays. So that might affect it. Just something to consider.
Yeah.
Well, if there's a will, there's a way. If there's a way, let's figure it out. Does that work?
That works.
I reiterate my motion.
I'll wait for a second. Second. Here we go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion to close. A motion to adjourn by Councilmember Hire and a second by Councilmember Lopez. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned.
Are you trying to
Wanna
say we
time
can't
out?
have the next meeting? Well, goodbye.
I make that motion.
I've waited.
Yeah.
I think we have to. Don't we?
Hmm?
We have to.
Roll call reflect that all board members are present. First on the agenda is a report from the administration for the tax increment collection period extension, and we have Tom Christopoulos here tonight.
Chair, council members, thank you for letting the third string present. I haven't done this in a long time. So if I make any major faux pas, please excuse me. It's just for lack of practice. Obviously, I think everyone is familiar that we've gone through a COVID situation that the legislature and a lot of the RDA managers around the state recognized was going to cause some difficulties. We couldn't really anticipate what those difficulties would be. And so a provision under 17C-1-416 was created to allow all redevelopment agencies to extend the period of which they could, to extend the period of the deadline of their districts. And so we we identified 7 areas in which we felt needed to be extended for those 2 years and in that 2-year period. And the reason for that is just to allow, because of estimated lower tax gains or other timing issues that were created because of the COVID pandemic. It doesn't allow us to collect any more money than the budgets allow. So if we happen to do as we had anticipated, they would still terminate based on when they reach their budget requirements. So again, the extension itself does not allow a change to the amount of the percentage of tax increment that was authorized, nor does it change the cumulative dollar amount of the tax increment that the agency authorized. As per the code, there is no requirement to receive approval from other participating tax entities. However, the notice is required for those taxing entities affected by the extension. So it's just an approval by the city council and then a notice. The agency, the areas that we are extending, that we have recommended for extension are the CDB Mall redevelopment project area, the Ogden River redevelopment project area, East Washington urban renewal project area, Track Line economic development project area, the Kiesel community development project area, the Continental community reinvestment project area, and the Adams community project area. So that's 7 out of the 14. If you wonder why we didn't do the other ones, it's because they all feed into the 7, into the C. For the most part, either are coming to a close and have very little money in them, or they feed into the CDB Mall area by agreement. So that's our recommendation, that we should take advantage of that. It's to the best interest of the community and making sure that we maximize the RDA dollars that are present. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
You did it great.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Is this just a one-time thing?
This is a one-time thing, unless the legislature gets back together and says, because of Omicron, we'll have an Omicron variant discussion, but right now it was the best they could do, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
That was short.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Okay, any
Sure.
comments from council members?
I think Doug ought to make this last motion.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we adopt proposed resolution 2021-20.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Board Member Stevens to adopt proposed resolution 2021-20 and a second by Board Member Heyer. This is a roll call vote.
Board Member Stevens,
Aye.
Board Member Chaburka,
Aye.
Board Member Heyer,
Aye.
Board Member Lopez.
Aye.
Board Member Nadolski,
Aye.
Vice Chair White,
Aye.
Chair Blair.
Aye, that passes. Thank you. Any comments from the executive director?
Just a huge thank you to Councilmember Stevens. You've always been a statesman. I salute you. Thank you for everything that you've done in your years of service. We really appreciate it, and it goes totally recognized.
Thank you.
And I'll leave it at that.
Comments from board members?
Love you, Doug.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Yep. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Happy New
And,
Year.
and best of luck to Sonda.
Happy New Year.
Yep.
She enjoyed the Tuesday nights, I'm sure, food.
Yeah, maybe you have to find a different hobby on Tuesdays.
Painting. It was kind of interesting when he got done with his last campaign, his wife made him throw all of his signs away. If that tells you how this is all gonna go.
She's been excellent throughout this whole time too, and
Yeah.
Thank
she's
you.
been great.
Chair, there's one thing that kind of came up, and it's a one meeting displaced, but I think that this is a thing. I says, if you can't find time to do it right the first time, where will you ever find time to do it again? And I think that this thing is important that we do get it right. It's more important that we get it done right than we get it done fast. That's kind of what I have to say. I know there's an urgency in many people's minds, but I guess I don't understand why that would take precedence over getting it right. That's all I gotta say.
Okay.
Anything else? You want to make that last
Anything
one?
else?
Make it.
Oh, you can.
No, I think you should make it.
I'm waiting for you, Doug.
I propose that we adjourn.
Second.
Yep.
Thank you. We have a motion by Board Member Stevens. I wish it was trustee.
Yeah.
Board Member Stevens to adjourn this meeting, and a second by Board Member Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?